Captain John Carter stared out the viewport of the small diplomatic shuttle. The massive structure of the Galactic Council headquarters floated before him, a swirling mass of metal and light that housed representatives from over 300 alien species. His heart beat faster. This was humanity's first official contact with the wider galactic community. "We're being guided to Docking Bay 47, said the pilot. "They're sending a welcome party." John nodded, straightening his blue uniform. Earth had only discovered faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. Now he stood as humanity's representative to a civilization that spanned thousands of star systems. The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. John took a deep breath and walked to the airlock. The door slid open, revealing 3 aliens waiting in the docking bay. The tallest alien had bright red feathers covering its body and sharp yellow eyes. Next to it stood a blue-skinned being with 4 arms and silver markings on its face. The third alien looked like a walking lizard with scales that shifted colors like a chameleon. The feathered alien stepped forward. "Captain Carter of Earth, I am Ambassador Zilktha of Aravia. Welcome to the Galactic Council." John extended his hand, then remembered his briefing. Instead, he placed his right hand over his heart and bowed slightly. "Thank you for welcoming humanity to the stars." The lizard-like alien scales turned a deep purple. It spoke in a raspy voice. "I am Council Elder Zor. We have much to discuss about your world's classification." John followed the aliens through long hallways filled with strange creatures. Some floated in the air, others moved on many legs. A few seemed made of light or gas. They all stopped to stare at John as he passed. "They've never seen a human before," explained Ambassador Zilktha. "Your appearance is quite unusual to them." John smiled politely, though he thought the aliens looked far stranger than he did. They entered a large circular room with a glowing table in the center. Images of Earth floated above it. Oceans, mountains, cities, and animals. "Please sit," said Elder Zor. "We must determine Earth's classification before formal relations can begin." John sat in the offered chair. "Classification?" Ambassador Zilktha's feathers rustled. "All worlds are rated by their danger level. Most council species come from Class 1 to 3 worlds, peaceful planets with mild conditions and few natural threats." "And Earth?" John asked. Elder Zor tapped the table. New images appeared: hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes, and predators. Earth shows extreme weather patterns, tectonic activity, dangerous wildlife, and high gravity. Initial scans place it as a death world, at minimum Class 8. John frowned. "Death world? Earth is our home. It's beautiful." "Beautiful, perhaps," said the blue-skinned alien, speaking for the first time. "But harsh compared to most life-bearing planets. The fact that humans evolved there concerns us." Ambassador Zilktha touched John's arm gently. "Species from death worlds tend to be physically formidable. The Council must evaluate if humans pose any risk to galactic peace." John tried to stay calm. "Humans are peaceful explorers. We only want to learn and trade." "That remains to be seen," said Elder Zor coldly. "A classification committee will test human capabilities. You will represent your species during this process." Ambassador Zilktha's eyes softened. "I will serve as your guide and advocate, Captain." Elder Zor stood. "The evaluation begins tomorrow. For now, you may rest in your assigned quarters." As they left the room, John heard Elder Zor whisper to the blue alien, "Initial readings suggest it might be worse than we thought. Possibly Class 12 or even..." The blue alien hissed. "Not here. No talk of Class 13, the human might hear." John pretended not to notice, but his mind raced. What was Class 13? And why did it make the aliens so nervous? In his quarters that night, John sent a message back to Earth. "First contact successful, but complicated. The aliens have classified Earth as a death world. They fear what that means about us. Something called Class 13 seems to worry them greatly. I'll learn more tomorrow. Carter out." He looked out at the stars, wondering what tomorrow would bring. John woke to a soft chiming sound. A message glowed on the wall. Testing begins in 1 hour. Breakfast has been adjusted to human requirements. He found food waiting in the next room. It looked like normal eggs and toast, but tasted slightly different. As he ate, the door opened and a woman in a science uniform walked in. "Captain Carter? I'm Dr. Susan Miller, xenobiologist from Earth Station. They sent me to help with the tests." John stood up quickly. "Thank goodness. I could use another human face right now." Susan smiled. "Earth Command is worried about this? Deathworld classification. I'm here to provide scientific support." Ambassador Zilktha arrived to escort them to the testing center. The hallways were even busier today, with aliens stopping to stare at the two humans. "Word has spread about Earth's preliminary classification," Zilktha explained. "Many have never seen beings from a high-class world before." The testing center was a large white room filled with strange equipment. A tall insect-like alien approached them, its 6 limbs moving in perfect harmony. "I am Technician Vrast. I will conduct the physical assessments." Its voice clicked through a translator. "We will begin with basic strength tests." Vrast led John to a simple-looking metal bar. "Please lift this weight bar." John gripped the bar and lifted. It felt light, maybe 20 pounds. "Is this right?" Vrast's compound eyes widened. "You can lift it with such ease? Most species struggle with this weight." The test continued. John ran on a treadmill, jumped over barriers, and squeezed pressure sensors. Each time, the alien technicians looked surprised or concerned. During a brief break, Susan whispered to John, "They're measuring you against their standards, their gravity, their atmosphere. They don't understand what's normal for Earth." A new alien entered the room. This one was amphibious with glistening blue-green skin and large black eyes. "I am Chief Classifier Neela. We will now test your reactions to various stimuli." The next tests were stranger. They measured how John responded to sudden noises, flashing lights, and temperature changes. They took blood samples and seemed alarmed by the results. "Your immune system is extremely aggressive," Neela said, studying a screen. "It attacks foreign bodies with remarkable speed." "That's how humans stay healthy," Susan explained. "Or how they could resist our defenses," Neela muttered quietly. During another test, John was asked to press a button when lights flashed. The machine suddenly sparked and John jumped back quickly. "Remarkable reflexes," said Vrast. "A survival response from evolving among predators, no doubt." John frowned. "Earth has predators, yes, but we're not—" "The next test requires more strength," interrupted Neela. "Please press against this plate with maximum force." John pushed hard. The plate cracked with a loud snap. A piece flew off and hit Vrast on one limb, cutting it. Green fluid leaked out. "I'm so sorry," John said, rushing forward. Everyone backed away from him quickly, fear visible in their alien features. "It is fine," Vrast said, though its limbs trembled. "Just unexpected strength." Later, as they returned to their quarters, John and Susan overheard raised voices from a nearby room. "The preliminary results are concerning," said a voice that sounded like Elder Zor. "The human's physical capabilities exceed Class 10 parameters. The immune response and reaction time suggest predatory evolution." "We should continue testing before judgment," said another voice. "If they meet even 3 more Class 13 markers, we must inform the Security Council," said Zor firmly. That night, John noticed small devices in the corners of his room. They were being watched. He wrote a note to Susan instead of speaking. "They're afraid of us. We need to find out what Class 13 really means." Susan nodded grimly. "And we need to contact Earth. I think we might be in danger here." The next morning, John asked Ambassador Zilktha for access to the Council's biological records. "We need to understand how worlds are classified," John explained, "so we can better represent Earth's interests." Zilktha's feathers ruffled nervously. "Such information is restricted, but as your advocate, I can request limited access." 3 hours later, John and Susan found themselves in the vast archives section of the station. The room stretched farther than they could see, filled with glowing databanks and strange crystal storage devices. A blob-like alien with multiple eye stalks floated toward them. "Welcome to the archives. I am Archivist Plex. I will assist your approved research into planetary classifications." Susan stepped forward. "We'd like to see the criteria for Deathworld classifications, particularly the higher classes." Plex led them to a quiet corner with a viewing terminal. "You may access classes 1 through 12 here. Please note that some comparative data is restricted. For hours, John and Susan studied the records. Earth's gravity was 1.5 times stronger than most inhabited worlds. Its temperature range was considered extreme. Its biodiversity was off the charts compared to other planets. "Look at this," Susan whispered, pointing to a chart. "They measure predator-prey ratios. Most council worlds have very few predator species." John nodded. "And Earth has thousands. No wonder they're nervous around us." As they continued their research, Susan noticed something strange. The classification criteria aren't consistent. They keep adding new factors for the higher classes almost, like they're designed to keep certain worlds in certain categories. John was about to respond when a loud crash made them jump. A heavy-set alien covered in thick armor plates stomped toward them. 4 other security officers followed behind. "Humans," the lead alien growled. "I am Security Chief Krav. Your research session is terminated." "We have permission," John began. "Your permission covered basic classification data only," Krav interrupted. "Archives show you attempting to access comparative evolutionary data. That is restricted." Susan stood her ground. "We were simply trying to understand. The terminal records show search attempts for Class 13 parameters," Krav said, his voice cold. "That classification level does not officially exist." "Then why are we being tested for it?" John asked directly. The room went silent. Even Archivist Plex's eye stalks froze in place. Krav's armored face showed no emotion. "You will return to your quarters immediately. The classification committee requires your presence in 6 hours for final testing." As they were escorted out, John noticed Archivist Plex hiding something. A small crystal data storage device slipping into a hidden compartment. Back in their quarters, Zilktha visited them, clearly agitated. "Something strange is happening," the avian alien said quietly. "The committee is rushing your classification. This is not normal procedure." "What happens if Earth is classified as Class 13? Susan asked. Zilktha's feathers flattened against its body, a sign of fear John had learned. "I do not know. That classification is not in public records, but the Council has moved your final assessment forward. It happens tomorrow." After Zilktha left, John turned to Susan. "We need those sealed records. Tonight." Susan nodded. "I noticed Plex hiding something when Krav mentioned Class 13. I think the archivist knows more than they're saying." That night, they slipped out of their quarters. The station's lights were dimmed for the night cycle. They carefully made their way back to the archives, avoiding security patrols. The archives were nearly empty. Only a few lights glowed among the towering databanks. They found Archivist Plex alone, organizing crystal records. "I wondered if you would return," Plex said softly, all eye stalks turning toward them. "You ask dangerous questions, humans." "We need to know the truth," John said. "What is Class 13 and why is everyone so afraid to talk about it?" Plex's body rippled. "It is not a classification. It is a death sentence." John stared at Archivist Plex. "A death sentence? What do you mean?" Plex's eye stalks swiveled nervously. "I should not be telling you this, but you deserve to know." The blob-like alien extracted a crystal from a hidden pocket. "This contains sealed records. Class 13 is not just a classification, it is a containment protocol." Susan took the crystal. "Containment? Species from worlds beyond Class 12 are deemed too dangerous for the galactic community," Plex whispered. "There have been 3 previous Class 13 species in Council history. All were sterilized." "Sterilized?" John felt cold. "You mean eliminated?" "Their worlds quarantined or cleansed," Plex confirmed. "The Council feared them too much to allow their continued existence." A message flashed on John's communicator. It was from Earth Command. Unidentified alien vessels approaching Sol system. Purpose unknown. Reinforcements being sent to Council Station. Commander Rick Evans en route to your location. John showed the message to Susan. Her face went pale. We need to see what's on this crystal, she said firmly. They found a private viewing terminal in a maintenance area. Susan inserted the crystal. The screen filled with classified reports. This can't be right, Susan said as she read. It says Class 13 species were eliminated not because they were aggressive, but because of their potential. Potential for what? John asked. Rapid adaptation, problem solving, the ability to thrive in conditions other species find impossible. Susan scrolled through more files. The last Class 13 species discovered could survive radiation levels that would kill most Council races. They were eliminated 300 years ago. And now they're considering humans for the same classification, John said grimly. A new voice spoke from behind them. Because you represent the same threat. They spun around. Elder Zor stood there, his scales, now a deep red color. Behind him was Chief Classifier Nyala. How predictable that you would seek forbidden knowledge, Zor said. Like all apex predator species. We're not predators, Susan protested. We're explorers. You are both, Nyala said. Your physical capabilities, immune responses, and problem-solving abilities all confirm it. Humans can survive nearly anywhere, adapt to any challenge. Your species could spread throughout the galaxy within centuries. And that's a bad thing? John asked. It disrupts the natural order, Zor hissed. Most species evolve in harmony with their environments. Class 13 species dominate theirs. The balance of the galaxy requires control. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. A voice announced, Attention. Human military vessel approaching. All security personnel to alert stations. Zor smiled coldly. Your reinforcements arrived too late. The containment fleet is already moving toward Earth. By tomorrow, the Council will officially declare humans as Class 13, and the sterilization will begin. You're planning genocide because you're afraid of our potential? Susan's voice shook with anger. It is regrettable but necessary, Nyala said. Your adaptability threatens the established order. A flash of light filled the room. When it cleared, both aliens lay unconscious on the floor. A human man in a military uniform stood in the doorway, holding an advanced stun weapon. Captain Carter? Dr. Miller? I'm Commander Rick Evans. Earth sent me to extract you. He gestured at the unconscious aliens. Looks like I arrived just in time. We need to warn Earth, John said urgently. They're sending ships to attack our planet. We know, Evans said grimly. That's why I brought our newest prototype ship. We're heading to a deep space observation outpost where we can safely contact Earth and gather more allies. Allies? Susan asked. Who would help us against the entire Council? Evans smiled slightly. You'd be surprised. Not all Council species agree with the Class 13 protocol. Some have been waiting for a chance to change things. As they hurried toward the docking bay, a young alien researcher stepped from the shadows. Take me with you, she said. I am Scientist Lyra. I have evidence that could help your case against the Council leadership. John hesitated, then nodded. Let's go. We have a galaxy to convince that humanity deserves to live. Commander Evans' ship was unlike anything John had seen before. It was smaller than standard military vessels, but sleek and fast. The inside was crowded with advanced equipment. Prototype stealth ship, Evans explained as they escaped the station. Earth has been developing it secretly since we discovered alien transmissions 3 years ago. Before official first contact? Susan asked, surprised. Evans nodded. Earth Command wasn't sure if aliens would be friendly. Looks like they were right to worry. Scientist Lyra examined the ship with wide eyes. Your technology is impressive for a species so new to space travel. That's part of why they fear us, John said. Humans adapt quickly. We solve problems. They jump to faster than light. Travel, heading for the observation outpost Evans had mentioned. During the journey, they studied the data from Plex's crystal. The Council has been eliminating potential rivals for thousands of years, Susan said, scrolling through files. Any species that evolves too quickly or shows too much potential gets labeled Class 13. It's about power, Lyra added. The oldest, Council species control everything. They don't want competition. The outpost was hidden in an asteroid field far from any major trade routes. As they docked, Evans received a message from Earth. Alien fleet maintaining distance. Diplomatic channels silent. Awaiting your report. Inside the outpost, they found more allies. Ambassador Zilktha had escaped the station too and was waiting for them. I could not stand by while genocide was planned, the avian alien said, feathers ruffled with emotion. What the Council is doing violates our most sacred principles. We need more allies, John said. Surely other Council members would oppose this if they knew. Many would, Zilktha agreed. But Elder Zor's faction controls key positions. They've kept the Class 13 protocol secret from most species. Then we expose them, Evans said firmly. We need to reach sympathetic Council members with the evidence we've gathered. Susan turned to Lyra. You said you had evidence that could help our case? Lyra nodded. I work in evolutionary biology. Our research shows that species from harsher worlds develop different problem-solving approaches. It's not aggression. It's survival adaptation. Can we use your research to convince others? John asked. Perhaps, Lyra said, but we'll need to reach Counselor Mira. She leads a progressive faction that has questioned the old leadership for centuries. Evans activated a communication screen. First, we need to warn Earth to prepare defenses while we work on diplomacy. As they sent their message to Earth, alarms sounded. A large military vessel appeared near the outpost. We've been found, Evans said, checking the scanners. It's General Vrex's command ship. He leads the Council's military forces. How did they find us? Susan asked. Zilktha looked grim. Tracking beacon. All Council ambassadors carry them. I should have thought to disable mine. The communication screen flickered on. A heavily armored alien with multiple eye ridges appeared. This is General Vrex of the Galactic Council Defense Force. Surrender the humans immediately or face destruction. We need time, John whispered to the others. We have to reach Counselor Mira with our evidence. Evans moved to the weapons console. I'll buy you that time. No, John said, putting a hand on Evans's shoulder. Let me talk to him, soldier to soldier. John stepped up to the screen. General Vrex, this is Captain John Carter. We request formal diplomatic asylum and a hearing before the full council. Asylum? Vrex laughed. You are a Class 13 species. You have no rights under council law. We have evidence that the Class 13 protocol violates the council's founding principles, John said firmly. Evidence that Elder Zor has been manipulating classifications for political purposes. This caught Vrex's attention. What evidence? Evidence we will only present to the full council, John insisted, including Counselor Mira's faction. Vrex was silent for a moment. Then he said, You have 6 hours to prepare your case. Then you will board my vessel and be taken to the council. If your evidence is insufficient, sterilization of Earth proceeds as planned. After the communication ended, Susan turned to John. 6 hours to build a case that saves our entire species. No pressure. Lyra stepped forward. I know someone who can help. An elderly energy being named Counselor Mira. She's been suspicious of Elder Zor for centuries. Can you contact her secretly? Evans asked. Lyra nodded. Yes, and she has the power to call an emergency council session that even Zor cannot block. John looked around at their small group of allies. Then let's build our case. Earth's survival depends on it. Lyra's message reached Counselor Mira faster than they expected. Within an hour, the energy being responded. Her form appeared on the communication screen as a swirling pattern of soft light. I have suspected Zor's faction for many cycles, Mira's gentle voice said, but I lacked evidence of their true plans. John explained what they had discovered about Class 13 species and the planned attack on Earth. This is worse than I feared, Mira said. I will call an emergency council session, but we need more than just the data crystal. The old records could be dismissed as forgeries. What kind of proof would convince the council? Susan asked. The truth about how the galaxy has been shaped, Mira answered. There is an ancient research vessel hidden in the Forbidden Zone. It contains records from the precursors themselves. The precursors? Evans asked. Zilktha's feathers stood on end. The species who first explored our galaxy. They vanished 50,000 years ago. They didn't vanish, Mira said softly. They were the first Class 13 species to be eliminated. John felt a chill. And their ship has proof of this? Yes, I have kept its location secret for centuries, waiting for the right moment. Mira sent coordinates to their ship. Go there. Find the truth. I will delay the council as long as possible. General Vrex was not happy when John requested more time, but a direct message from Counselor Mira forced him to agree. They had 24 hours instead of 6. Evans brought in another human to help them. Pilot Ben Hawkins, an expert in navigating dangerous space. The Forbidden Zone is filled with radiation and unstable wormholes, Hawkins explained as he took the controls. Most ships can't survive there, but this prototype might make it. The journey was rough. Strange energy waves rocked the ship. Bizarre lights flashed outside the viewports. We're approaching the coordinates, Hawkins announced after several tense hours. Before them floated what looked like a small moon. But as they got closer, they saw it was actually a massive ship, covered in ancient symbols. The precursor vessel, Lyra whispered in awe. I never thought I'd see it. They docked at an entry point Mira had described. Inside, the ship was dark and silent, but life support systems still functioned. Incredible, Susan said, examining the walls. This technology is beyond anything the Council currently has. They followed Mira's instructions to the central archive. The room was filled with crystalline structures that glowed softly as they entered. These are data storage units, Lyra explained. Each crystal contains thousands of years of research. Susan found the main console and activated it. The room lit up with holographic displays showing star maps and biological data. Look at this, she called out. It's a study of evolutionary patterns across the galaxy. The displays showed how life evolved differently on various worlds. Harsh planets produced adaptable, problem-solving species. Gentle worlds produced specialized but less flexible life forms. The precursors discovered that species from challenging environments developed faster, John said, reading the data. They saw it as the natural path of evolution. Here's the proof we need, Evans said, pointing to another display. Records of deliberate manipulation of developing worlds. The current council leadership has been artificially stunting the evolution of species for millennia. They've been engineering the galaxy to prevent competition, Susan realized. Keeping other species dependent on them. Suddenly alarms blared throughout the ancient ship. We've got company, Hawkins called from the ship's sensors. Multiple council vessels approaching, led by Elder Zor himself. They must have tracked us, Zilktha said, or followed Mira's communication. We need to get this data back to the council, John said urgently. It's the only way to stop them. Too late, Evans said grimly. They're surrounding us. The communication screen activated. Elder Zor's face appeared, his scales now a deep black color. Did you really think we would allow you to expose the truth? He hissed. This ship and all its dangerous knowledge will be destroyed, along with you. We've already transmitted the key data to Counselor Mira, John bluffed, hoping to buy time. Zor's eyes narrowed. Then we will have to accelerate our plans. The cleansing of Earth begins now. John's mind raced. Earth was in danger and they were trapped. We need to get this data out, he said urgently. Hawkins, can we outrun them? The pilot shook his head. Not with 5 warships surrounding us. Lyra stepped forward. There's another way. The precursor ship has its own faster-than-light drive. It's ancient, but it might still work. You want to fly this entire ship? Evans asked, looking around at the massive structure. We only need to reach the council headquarters. Lyra explained. If we can bring the precursor ship there, the evidence cannot be destroyed or hidden. They ran to the bridge of the ancient vessel. Susan and Lyra worked quickly to understand the controls. "The system is recognizing me," Lyra said with surprise as the console lit up under her touch. "The precursors must have been similar to your species," Susan suggested. Outside, Zor's ships began firing on the ancient vessel. The hull shuddered. "Their weapons are having minimal effect," Zilktha observed. "This ship's defenses are incredibly strong." "I've figured out the drive system," Lyra announced. "Everyone hold on." The massive ship hummed with power. Stars blurred outside the viewports, and suddenly they were moving faster than any of them had ever traveled before. "Incredible," Hawkins whispered. "We're moving at least 10 times faster than Council ships." "Setting course for Council headquarters," Lyra said. "We'll arrive in less than an hour." During the journey, they gathered all the evidence they could find. The precursor records showed centuries of deliberate manipulation by the Council leadership. "They've been stunting developing worlds," Susan explained as she organized the data. "Introducing diseases, manipulating climates, even causing extinctions to keep species from reaching their potential." "But they couldn't control Earth," Johnny realized. "Our planet was too unpredictable, too harsh. We developed without their influence." "That's why they fear you," Zilktha said. "You represent natural evolution, unchecked by their control. When they dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the Council headquarters station loomed before them. The massive precursor ship dwarfed even the largest Council structures. Immediately, their communication system lit up with panicked messages from the station. "Unidentified vessel, you are violating Council space. Withdraw immediately." John opened a channel to the entire station. "This is Captain John Carter of Earth. We are here to present evidence to the full Council under the ancient rights of appeal. We demand an emergency session." There was a long pause. Then a familiar voice responded. "Counselor Mira. Request granted, humans. The full Council is assembling now." Despite opposition from Zor's security forces, they docked the precursor ship directly to the main Council chamber. When they stepped into the vast circular room, hundreds of alien representatives from across the galaxy were watching. Elder Zor stood on the central platform, his scales shifting between red and black. "These humans have violated Council law by entering forbidden space and stealing an ancient artifact. We have claimed our right to appeal our classification," John responded, stepping forward. "And we have brought evidence that the Council leadership has violated the founding principles of your own government." A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. Counselor Mira's glowing form hovered near the ceiling. "Let them present their evidence. It is their right." Susan and Lyra set up the data crystals they had brought from the precursor ship. Holographic displays filled the chamber, showing the history of the galaxy's manipulation. "For thousands of years," John announced, "a small group within the Council has been controlling the evolution of species across the galaxy. They have prevented worlds from developing naturally. They have eliminated any species that might compete with them." The displays showed planets being altered, climate changes being engineered, and the deliberate extinction of 3 previous Class 13 species. "This violates everything the Council claims to stand for," Susan added. "The protection of life. The natural right of species to develop." The chamber erupted in shocked conversations. Many Council members had never known about these actions. Elder Zor leaped to the center of the platform. "These are lies. The humans are manipulating ancient data to save themselves." "The data is genuine," Lyra stated firmly. "I have verified it with my own research." "The truth," John said, looking around at the assembled aliens, "is that you have been afraid of what different worlds might produce. Afraid of species who think differently, who solve problems in new ways." The Council chamber fell silent as the full impact of the evidence sank in. 1 year later, Captain John Carter stood at the window of Earth's new embassy on Council Central Station. The view had changed dramatically since his first visit. Ships from dozens of worlds moved through space around the station, including several human vessels. "Ambassador Carter?" Susan Miller's voice came from behind him. "The delegation from Aravia has arrived," John smiled. Thank you, Dr. Miller. And please, after everything we've been through, you can still call me John. Susan laughed. Old habits. Besides, your new title suits you. They walked together to the main conference room, where Ambassador Zilktha waited with a group of feathered aliens. Greetings, friends, Zilktha said warmly. We bring good news. The 17 worlds in our sector have ratified the new classification system. John nodded with satisfaction. After the revelations at the emergency council session, the galaxy had been in turmoil. Elder Zor and his closest allies had attempted to seize control using ancient technology hidden beneath the council chambers. But they had failed. Now Councilor Mira led a reformed government. The old classification system had been abandoned. Worlds were no longer judged by their harshness, but by their contribution to galactic knowledge and cooperation. And what of the expedition to Rigel? John asked as they sat around the table. Very successful, Zilktha replied. The human members were especially helpful when the team encountered high radiation zones. Your natural adaptability saved the mission. This was the new reality. Human traits once feared were now valued. Earth's Deathworld status had become an asset rather than a threat. Later that day, Commander Evans arrived with his own report. The Joint Defense Initiative is going well, he said. 7 formerly isolated species have joined. It turns out, several worlds had been hiding their true capabilities, fearing Class 13 designation. Just like the old council feared, Susan noted. Adaptable species working together. But not to dominate, John added. To protect. As evening approached, a special meeting was called. Representatives from 20 species gathered in the observation dome. Scientist Lyra, now heading the new Evolutionary Research Division, gave her report. We've identified 14 more potential Class 13 worlds, she announced. Under the old system, these worlds would have been monitored for containment. Now we're establishing peaceful first contact protocols. John looked around the room at the diverse beings. Some had tentacles. Others floated in air. Some were barely visible energy patterns. Yet all had accepted that diversity of evolution was not something to fear. Councilor Mira's glowing form appeared at the center of the dome. 1 year ago, the truth about our past shook this council to its foundations. The revelation that we had been eliminating our most promising member species almost destroyed us. The room was silent as she continued. But from that crisis came opportunity. The human capacity for forgiveness, despite our plans to eliminate them, showed us a better path. Their adaptability, once feared, has helped us solve problems that plagued us for centuries. A large viewing screen activated, showing images from a dozen worlds, new species taking their first steps into space guided by joint human-alien teams. The terrifying truth about Class 13 Deathworlds, Mira said, her voice tinged with amusement, is that they produce exactly what the galaxy needs most, species that refuse to accept limitations. After the meeting, John returned to his quarters. A message waited from Earth. The first Aravian students had arrived at universities in America, Europe, and Asia. Cultural exchange programs were thriving. John looked out at the stars and remembered his fear during that first meeting when he'd learned Earth was classified as a death world. How quickly things had changed, his communicator chimed. It was Susan. Ambassador, we're receiving a transmission from the edge of the galaxy. A new species has been detected, and they're requesting contact. Evolved on a world with triple Earths, gravity, and twice the radiation. John smiled. Tell them we're looking forward to meeting them, and that we have much to learn from each other. What had once been humanity's greatest liability, their harsh homeworld, had become their greatest strength, and now nobody in the galaxy feared Class 13 Deathworlders anymore.